Call the meeting to order. First thing, into roll call approval of the minutes. I have a motion for the
Move
minutes.
for approval of the minutes. Do you want me to do each
Second.
one or?
No.
Okay,
Just as written.
as written.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We're gonna go to number 8 first. Michelle Felton. Ms. Tompkins, have a seat. Dave wants to come up there? Okay, you know why you're here? Because you've had this thing going on for 15 years.
13, yeah.
13 years, and you haven't got a permit.
No,
And so, I don't know how it started, but you need a permit.
I understand that.
I mean,
The first time, as I explained to
Right.
Marty, we had tried to get a permit and everything we did it the right way, and I don't know if the guy just felt sorry for me, because I don't know if he liked
Yeah.
my husband or what, but he says, well, you're doing it for charity, you know. You don't have to go around to the people and ask permission, it's a charity thing, and he didn't say anything about a permit. So I continued to do it every year, but I don't know if he thought it was gonna be just a one-year thing for us, one-day event, but we continued doing it for
My fault.
13 years.
I'm the one who just did it.
She's the one who organizes, my daughter, she manages my place.
okay, 1 minute. Is everybody familiar with
Right.
everything here? About, and about that we would put up the barricades, there were City of West Dallas barricades. And I guess somebody that you knew from the city put up the barricades, and so I asked Dave to come here because he found out about it.
I didn't want to get anyone in
Engineer-
trouble
I
and
know,
nothing.
we're not
and-
going to.
And
Yeah,
So, go ahead.
if I may, we spoke with that individual. He did indicate that it was a, for a good cause, that sort of thing. But the two individuals that were involved within the city, we did document and did indicate to them to stop
Oh.
this procedure and await for the permit. And
Okay.
once the permit, if it is approved, we would be notified by the official through the engineering department
Okay.
instead of going directly, through communication with yourself to this individual. So we've documented that and we counseled them. So at this time, they were notified to stop at this time and any future times. So that is a record of potential discipline in the future.
And I just had a question because when the police talked to me, they said that I was warned last year, which I never. I don't know who warned me or anything. I had no one talk to me.
Mr. Chair,
Hold on, wait.
I spoke to the licensee at length on the phone, and I think this was just a perfect storm of mistakes, and there was no bad intention anywhere. The warning, so no, in the police report that we got, there is a mention of a warning from last year, and the police did a follow-up. There was no warning from the police department
Okay.
last year. It was somebody from our engineering staff who apparently spoke to one of your employees about it, so neither of you.
None of us know.
So the mention of the I was kind of, when I read the police reports as well, they were warned about it last year. First of all, I thought it was odd that if the police warned you about it last year, that it happened again.
yes.
And that we didn't get a report on it last year,
Yeah.
because I was on this committee last year. So that what we read as a warning from last year was really just more of a casual conversation from somebody from our engineering staff.
So they might have just called the business. And,
No, I don't think they called. I think they're customers of yours.
Oh. Okay.
So, but apparently it was not with either of you. Yeah,
Oh,
so.
okay.
But next year, you have to get a permit through the engineering department. You don't do it enough in advance, then it'll come and go through the system. You took care of those people, so.
Mr. Chair,
Hold on, mate.
I believe it's a $25 permit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I
It
have
might,
no
it might
problem.
go up.
That's fine. I mean, that's not. I mean, I will. When I talk to the officer too, I'm like, I'll go pay the permit right now. Like, I don't know what. And he's told me not to. Because I'm like, I was out of town when he came to the business, and he's like, well, you can. I'm like, should I go down to City Hall? He's like, no. It's out of our hands now. I'm like, okay. So
Mr. Chair, could I add?
Hold on, wait.
It's not about the $25.
correct.
It's about the process. It's about your neighbors signing off on it. It's about the city knowing that you want the street closed off. It's about insurance or something protecting the city. And when I say protecting the city, I mean protecting the taxpayers of the city if something bad happens. So You know, that's why this whole process, this permit process is in place. So, it's not about the $25.
Yeah, I understand.
Anybody else have any?
I did not.
Mr. Chair, I'm not sure if anybody saw the pictures, but it did get pretty big, so just make sure
Yeah.
in the years future that you're going through the right process.
Mr. Chair, is it an extension of their premises for alcohol?
It would be, but the report said they weren't selling alcohol outside. Obviously, that'd be something that you would have to look
They
at
were-
next year.
But we had a band outside and everything, so people from inside were taking their drinks and listening to the band outside and stuff. So, but I said, it's only on our property that it was all rolled. I mean, we didn't go like further down the block or anything, we stopped right at our,
Yeah, Greenfield to like the end of your lot
right,
line.
at my
Right.
lot.
120 feet or.
And that's, we always talk to Jerry, who owns the Napa parking lot, who is okay with everything too.
Whenever we,
And that's just what I've been doing, it's the only
Yeah.
outdoor event
Well,
we have.
You're gonna end up talking to somebody from our clerk's office, and you're gonna see, you probably can't do anything on his private property with alcohol. Alcohol in the street is gonna require you partnering with a group, I believe it's the MS Society, it's the
Yes.
fundraiser for, so, you know, we don't typically just let taverns spill out onto the street.
Correct.
You know, there's usually, and this has been a fundraiser for MS, I get that, so.
So you'd have to get an extension of premises,
If
Yeah.
there's alcohol inside.
Yeah.
If you had-
If you wanna leave and let people walk outside with a drink, you're gonna need an extension of premise.
okay, but we do have that because we do have patio tables outside and stuff that we have a permit for.
Yeah, that's only onto that, where that,
Sidewalk.
along
So
the
that-
sidewalk.
Yeah, but,
Staff will be able to walk you through all.
The road wouldn't be your premises.
Yeah, the road's not your premise.
okay.
Or the sidewalk. Or the sidewalk. Department of Revenue could get upset about this kind of stuff and would have other things to say beyond just what we say,
Yeah.
so.
No one drinks on that man's property anyways, that was just for parking cars
Yeah.
and stuff for the event, so.
Well, that's a whole nother thing we're doing.
Alright,
we won't discuss that one.
So, Mr. Chair,
Okay,
in summary, just come in next year, work with the clerk's office regarding extension of premises, see if you need it. Work with engineering regarding the permit for the closing off of the street, and I think everything will be fine.
let's do it a couple
And
months.
come
in
in,
advance.
yeah, a couple months in advance.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was just gonna say, in advance, don't do it like, you
The
know,
day
the week
before,
before,
yeah.
Sunday.
because,
yeah. Okay.
Move the place on
Okay.
file.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Thanks for coming.
Alright.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, State Fair Liquor and Foods, Hader. Is that Hader here?
Halder
Halder,
from
Halder,
Pavitra, 1568 South 81st Street.
State Fair Liquor and Foods? Okay, we'll hold that one. Hugo Ramirez, Ramirez. No,
Hernandez.
Hernandez. Hugo? Oh, come here.
Come on up.
Did I murder the name or? Okay, this is for, let's see. Oh, this is the former, Antigua?
Yes,
Okay.
well, it used to be, I think.
It used to be, and it moved, yeah. So there's no license, I think we okayed them moving the license. So this is a new existing?
Non-existent.
New non-existing.
New non-existing. And we have 3 available? Have you had this business someplace else, or is it a new startup, or?
We just gonna start,
Okay.
it's not new.
And what type of food are you gonna be serving? Just everything in general?
Breakfast.
Pardon me?
Breakfast,
Breakfast
lunch,
and
and
up?
dinner,
Okay.
yes.
Oh, okay. Cause it's a cafe, and usually that's open up early, 6 to 11. Does anybody else have any questions?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, oh,
Okay, Alderman Weigel.
Let Alderman Rose.
Alderman Rowe.
yeah, go alphabetical. It shows 77 hours a week, but then you're serving alcohol only 56, why the, I just was curious.
So you have fewer hours for serving the alcohol and more for
I
serving the
just
food?
was curious,
We're
why
just
is that?
wondering.
You're not selling on Sunday, or? You don't know what I'm saying, do you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No.
So here.
¿Quieres ayuda?
Sí, por favor, ¿nos puede traducir? A ver.
Ellos dicen que van a abrir a menos horas cuando tienes licencia para a vender alcohol todo el día.
Thank you.
Como ustedes nada más van a abrir en el breakfast, en el lunch.
No, vamos a abrir de las 6 de la mañana a 10 de la noche.
Oh, they say
Oh,
they're
so
open
la
from
noche.
6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
So, and as far as serving alcohol, they're not gonna serve alcohol in the morning?
¿Van a vender alcohol por la mañana también?
No, creo de las 11.
From 11 to 10 p.m.
Okay, I just was
Oh,
curious, I wasn't.
Dice que
A
ellos nomás
condition.
están preguntando por qué van a abrir a servir alcohol temprano o solamente
Oh.
de noche.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Weigel.
You may wanna consider changing that, because if somebody was there at 9 AM and wanted a Bloody Mary, the way your application reads is you'd have to say no. If you're telling us you're not gonna serve alcohol till 11 AM, then you should never serve alcohol before 11 AM. It doesn't cost you anything to add the earlier hours in. We don't really care. We want your application to be accurate, though.
Dice el CETILlo y dicen que ustedes pueden agregar el licencia de alcohol temprano. Ellos no le importan. Si van a servir alcohol a las 11 de la mañana, ellos pueden agregar más temprano. Porque si alguien llega a las 9 de la mañana, pide un Bloody Mary y ustedes lo dan y no tienen licencia para esa hora. So es mejor que agreguen a las 9 de la mañana hasta las 10 de la noche.
Bueno.
Okay.
¿Qué
So
van a
do we have to
¿Van a
amend
agregar
that,
o
or
van a
they
servir
can
de
just
11 a
change
10?
it?
Lo vamos a agregar entonces.
They say they
He's
want to
gonna
add
ask.
it. for-
They would like to add the,
10
they would like to add the earliest opening hours that
Okay.
we allow. Does anybody have a problem with that?
No. We'll just change that in there then for all the hours.
Yeah.
I'll leave.
Que ellos van a agregarte de 9 hasta 10 de la noche.
A 10 de la noche.
Mr. Chair,
Alderman
I'm
Weigel.
going to continue. Are you with these guys?
No,
Oh,
we
okay.
just came
You-
for
okay, so-
another reason.
We
Okay.
appreciate it.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's from Las Palmas.
I just wanna make sure they're
Oh.
familiar with all the rules, okay? Like, not serving people under 21, not serving people that are drunk, making sure you buy your alcohol from authorized wholesalers. They know they can't go to the grocery store to buy liquor to resell. I mean, these are all important things that running a restaurant, you need to be aware of, so.
Dicen que aseguren que no comprar cosas en la tienda. Pueden comprar con los vendedores, con los que venden licores. No vayan a la tienda a
Bueno,
comprar licores. Y aseguren que no venden menores de edad.
I'll take that as a yes. He's
Yes.
aware of all the rules. Just-
Okay, anyone else have any questions?
If you're unclear on any of this stuff, sorry, Mr. Chair, if you're unclear on anything, just make sure you talk to somebody about this, okay? You don't wanna just guess your way through, okay? Just talk to somebody.
Okay, you understand?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll move approval,
Second.
subject to necessary requirements.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Now, this goes to our next council meeting on November 5th, and then the entire council votes on it. So, wouldn't be able to open until after that. Okay?
Ellos dicen que tiene otro meeting el noviembre 5. No puede abrir antes de eso.
Bueno.
So tiene que regresar otra vez a la corte.
Mr. Chair, if I- okay. He doesn't have a license until he actually has the license in his hand.
Ya.
Okay.
Tú no tienes
Piece of
licencia que
paper.
no lo tengas en la mano licencia para vender
Came up
licores.
here.
No puede vender nada antes sin licencia.
They can't open.
Thank you.
Okay. So, we ready to vote?
We did, yep.
Yeah.
We-
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I was gonna say gracias. My 2 years of Spanish in high school.
Okay, Escobar. Escobar?
I can't speak it.
Can't say your first name, so. No Escobar here?
Is
Rogelio
it Varia?
and Maria.
Escobar's from Escobar's Kitchen.
Yes, Maria. Okay, we'll hold that one too. So, Japhet Banda? Japhet? Okay. Okay, we're applying for a bartender's license, new,
I'm licensed in Milwaukee.
okay. But okay, so have you ever been ticketed, arrested, convicted, fined, any violation, federal, state laws, and you put down no? Well, we run a police check and everything. And there's a number of things here that I don't know if you're aware of or not.
No, I am aware of it
So why didn't you write them down?
because the lady that's behind the desk here told me not to because it was over a certain amount of years.
Looking
I don't know,
at
we-
2011 here, that's
that's
not
not our-
that.
that's not
I don't-
our
I
policy.
don't believe that, but
It's not our policy to do that. Well, there's some, because there's some things on here that are pretty major. And this is a new bar that's opening up, correct?
No, this is a bartender's license.
Right, but for a new bar,
Oh.
2100.
2100, 21.
Yeah, that's the one that just took over right past the railroad tracks there. Does anybody have any questions?
Mr. Chair, do we know who he was talking to at the clerk's office? Because that's not something we've ever had anybody say before, is my understanding.
Yeah, because that's not the policy.
I rang up the application and took the money, but I didn't give him the application. Did you pick it up and bring it back?
No, I did all of that right then and there.
Because I wouldn't have told you that, and my receipt is on the back of this. So it wasn't me you spoke to, was it? Do I look familiar? Was it you? Was it me?
I'm trying to recall, and by no means am I trying to avoid this conversation about my background. I had to live with it my entire life, and I've accumulated all of this stuff. Everybody been young before, made bad decisions. I'm 34 now. A lot of this stuff is years ago. Nobody here today is who they was that many years ago. I've come to grow into the man that I am now. I've made all types of changes, personal development and education-wise. If that was not told to me, I would have put yes. Okay, but now we're dealing with the fact that I put no. I don't even want to place any judgment or point any fingers anymore. So what do I do now?
Okay.
Do we talk about my history or what?
Well, I got a question about, do you carry a concealed weapon now, or do you carry weapons in?
I don't
mean,
carry any
Cause
weapons. no.
because we had from 2002 and 11.
I was with a
and
decorated
12.
vet. I was with a decorated vet at the shooting range when it happened. I complied with the police when they showed me in the investigation that was me shooting. I didn't deny anything at
Okay,
all.
Well, okay, you don't have to go in, but this is, was this in Milwaukee?
Yeah.
Because there's a West Milwaukee and Milwaukee, that you're convicted for. I don't get the first one, it says not reported,
There's,
2.
Mr. Chair, there's 3 cases, they're all, the newest one's 2011, then there's 2002s. I can say based on my past experiences that the 2011 sentence 5 months is what you got, right?
Yeah,
That's incredibly low for that amount, which I.
exactly.
Yeah, so that, for whatever reason, whatever the judge sentenced you for, it must have been something that was mitigated in those circumstances, so.
I was with a vet when it happened.
Okay, have,
I don't know the facts at all, I just.
I complied with
Yeah.
everybody.
do,
I've
have you ever bartended before?
yes, I have.
Okay, you said you gotta look at your license in there. And so, are you gonna be working here full-time or part-time?
Whatever she needs right now, you know, so it varies, you know. I'm bartending in downtown Tulsa at Cafe Bavaria at the German restaurant.
So,
So you, Mr. Chair?
wait just a second. I do agree with you. People when they're younger do things. You know, these are some kind of severe things on some of these, but you know, I do agree with you that people do change. Alderman Wagner.
So you have a Wauwatosa license also?
No, I bartend under somebody
Okay,
else that's
okay.
there.
And one of these convictions is this prohibited possession of a firearm. You didn't have a felony conviction anywhere.
Yeah.
He does have a felony conviction.
Armed robbery is a felony.
Okay, I didn't know necessarily that armed robbery is a felony. I just see that written in there. So.
Mr. Chair.
Alderman Hall.
Yeah, I think the following on what the assistant city attorney was saying, a big deal for me is that the gentleman received only 5 months for an armed robbery. The big problem here is you got an armed robbery on your record, only 5 months. That's not an indication of a lenient court system. That's an indication of significant mitigating factors that this gentleman, while we don't know the whole
Right.
story, we're not reopening that. This gentleman committed a crime, but there were things that that are in his favor that are a good reason that that's a very light sentence for an armed robbery.
Okay.
For clarification, the 5 months was felon in possession of a firearm. The armed robbery was in 2002. He got 3 years probation on that one, right?
Well, that's
yeah.
not what
No,
it says here, though.
2011 is the armed robbery.
2002 it says
Yeah.
not
And then
resolved.
12 is the prohibited possession of a firearm.
That's
looked it up.
inaccurate.
Okay.
What
Yeah.
you're saying is accurate.
I looked
What
it up.
you're
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
isn't.
Okay, well, let's see.
Okay.
That's what we have here.
The armed robbery is in 2002.
2002.
The felon in possession of firearm was in 2011.
Okay. How much time did you get for the armed robbery in 2002?
3 years probation.
3 years probation. Did you do any time
It
inside?
carries 60. I got 3 years probation,
Mhm.
and I
Yeah.
had a public defender.
So you get some amount of initial time, condition time, and it was 2 years in, 2 years extended supervision, which was stayed, meaning that's the sentence. But if you go on probation, you're not going to have to do that. So you have to successfully complete probation. I assume that that's what happened. I didn't
Yeah.
see anything on CCAP that said you
No
were
infractions at all
Yeah.
during my probation.
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes.
with the changes in the law from August regarding licensing, I cannot recommend that this committee, based on the record, deny. We can't, in my opinion, in this one. There would be a different assessment for non-cooperation for whatever reason. I'm not saying we should go that route either, but if we determine that there was intentional misleading information on an application, that would be grounds for denial. The record in this case is not.
So you're saying that if somebody was convicted of armed robbery, we couldn't deny a license because of that?
Unless we can say that substantially relates to the license offense. There are exception offenses, and those include crimes against body, meaning homicides and things along those lines, and sexual offenses or sexual assaults. Those are the only 2 predicate offenses that are automatic exemptions. Everything else has to be substantially related to the licensed activity.
Mr. Chair?
Keyword being substantial.
But we were misled on the application. It wasn't like I even forgot. It's like I checked no, and then it's like
That's what I'm
someone told me that I don't need to fill that out, which I said right away, I don't believe that. And you looked at me like, what are you talking about?
Because I was told
Okay.
that. I don't want to get in a big debate about that.
No, I'm
because
just saying, but you looked at me like, what are you talking about? And
I knew what you was talking about.
Okay.
We're gonna have a conversation about how you perceive me sighing or looking. If you
Okay.
want to ask me if I believe, how I feel or interpret what you did or said, I'll be happy to oblige that by talking to you.
right, okay, let's
Okay.
just,
Okay. We're just looking at the facts here. So, I just think it's so irritating that we're handcuffed like that. You know, not in this, and I'm not saying in this case because I already gave my opinion. But I got it.
If it's if we can substantially relate it to, or can argue that it's substantially related to the licensed activity, then we can deny for that, but then the person would have a chance to show rehabilitation, one of those being they've successfully completed their sentence. In each case here, 11 or 2002, or the misdemeanor from 2002, I think there was one of those too. That's all completed. Unless we can say for some reason it's related.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Alderman May.
could I just, if you just take, I just want to verify. I just want to clarify with you too. We're not here to work against you. We're just trying to understand the history. Does that record look right? You said the armed robbery was in 02, not in 11.
Yeah, the robbery is in 02.
Okay.
See, that's what we're looking at.
Everything else on there looks right though. And again, we're not working against you. We just want to understand.
I'm just trying to figure out what this is on the bottom. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody have anything else?
Mr. Chair.
Alderman Weigel.
With what Assistant City Attorney has been telling us recently, you know, typically I'd be the one to say, well, he checked the no box, we have that signed line there, and so the reality is, I guess we could move to deny based on an inaccurate application, but then he could just come and reapply after a period of time, or do you have to wait? Was there a waiting period? No. I mean, in essence, we'd just be penalizing the application fee. He'd have to pay the $45 again, and possibly the $7 record check. If first of all, these activities aren't horrendous. They don't relate directly to bartending. They are in the past. I guess I don't think our staff is telling you, oh, we only do a 5-year look back. Is that what they said?
She said, I think 7 years. And I said, I don't have a problem putting yes. But she said, but by law, you don't have to report anything after 7 years.
You're saying somebody at our clerk's
She's thinking of her
office.
taxes.
Yeah.
She said that.
But
And I wouldn't make things up like that.
Well,
you know?
Okay.
what I'm saying is, at this point, I'm prepared to move approval.
okay, so do I have a motion then?
I'll second.
You're making a motion?
Yes.
And Alderman May second.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair,
Any
if I
further
may,
discussion?
just
Alderman Haas.
to add on, the fact that the armed robbery is in fact 2002, not 2011. It's not 7 years ago. It's 14. No, that's 16 years ago. They're doing math. 16 years ago. That's important for me too. It's a lot more remote than what we were originally looking at, and that's important today. So, yeah.
Okay, and the only other thing we always say, if there's a problem, call the police. Don't try to handle it yourself. Call the police. That's who they're. We don't hold it against you if you call the police. Someone comes in and you refuse to give them a drink and they start tearing the place apart. Just call the police. Don't try trying to handle it yourself. Got to work with the police on that. Okay. Okay. There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Alderman Weigl.
So this committee is probably going to pass you, and then it goes to the council on November 5th,
On Monday. Yeah.
and then that will probably pass there, and then it'd be available. Your license will be available for pickup the next day. If you don't pick it up the next day before like 2:30, it'll be mailed to you. So
Okay.
you don't have the license until you have the license in your hand. So you can't go bartend tonight somewhere.
Okay.
Well, in West Allis.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
No.
See, signature. Okay. I pass it. Angela, Christie? Chris?
Mr.
Stephen
Chair,
Britt? I'm sorry.
That's her second non-appearance. She was sent a certified letter.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can see the note.
I'm sorry.
That's the
Move for
second.
denial based on 2 non-appearances.
Second.
Do you have any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Stephen Brayling,
Same situation.
yeah, this is the second, also.
Move denial based on 2
Second.
non-appearances.
Mr. Chair, we don't need to have a long discussion on this one, but for learning purposes, I think this one would be the same facts as the other one. If you don't fill out your application correctly, that can be your grounds for denial. In this case, the subject was also still on probation, which he wouldn't be able to prove, we could substantially relate to the licensed activity, and he wouldn't be able to prove, rehab. So, for learning purposes, this one would be different.
So, Mr. Chair, for learning purposes, basically what you're saying is they have to serve their.
If we can
term.
substantially relate it,
Mhm.
serving that time would be one way of showing they've rehabilitated themselves,
Yeah.
or been rehabilitated.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Owen Wago.
for learning purposes.
Yes,
So,
we can talk about it, it's an agenda item.
so if someone has multiple OWIs,
Correct.
okay, I assume each OWI, they do go to some sort of court-ordered rehabilitation. And if they went the first time and then got another OWI, would there then be a presumption that someone who's demonstrating multiple OWIs, although they've gone through rehabilitation, they're potentially not actually rehabilitated?
That's the argument I've made to the league, because this has frustrated me as well, and so I've tried to have discussions about loopholes and problems that I see specifically to OWIs. If we have 3 or 4 OWIs, but somebody's
He's gone through all the
sentence,
court-ordered steps and.
the pattern at that point, and what I would be arguing to you and to the court, is that the pattern they've shown is that this is not rehabilitation. That just because they serve their time and do AODA doesn't mean they're rehabilitated. Now, if it's 15 years ago, I think we have a tough time saying that they aren't. But if we got 4 or 5 OWIs, 3 OWIs, and they're all recent, then yes, that substantially relates. No problem. Thank you. In my opinion.
Okay, we got a motion and a second for denial based on non-appearance for the second time. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, then we have our compliance check offenders. Richard Kinney? You wanna,
And Elizabeth Post,
pardon me?
and Elizabeth Post,
Oh, and,
the bartender.
oh, I'm sorry, and Elizabeth Pope, that's right. I asked, I had the bartenders here also. I wanted to actually do the survey. Cause we always.
Thanks for doing these as a group, or you just gonna do it?
I'm doing it individually.
That's fine.
Well, you know why you're here tonight,
Yes, I
Yes.
do.
and
Thanks.
you know we do these every so often, and this was very disappointing when we saw this report, because we've been doing real good, and all of a sudden 7 places serve this underage person.
I understand.
And you were the one that served them,
Yes, I am.
and geez, we hear nothing from your bar.
No.
I
Which
know.
is good. And so-
You don't
so
think
we
I'm
do this.
pissed?
Yeah, so, but
I
it's
had
just,
a
And
Sunday
I-
go down and look at, I didn't know where it was, I had to drive down there
Oh, really?
to find it. Yeah, right
And
in the
I've-
corner of the
See what I mean?
railroad track. Oh, well, yeah. so
I've been
that's a
tending
good
bar
thing.
for
We just had
40
a good
plus
article
years,
too,
and
on
it, I made a mistake.
you just didn't have, just thought the person was old enough, and
She resembled a person who had been in, that I had just checked the Friday before. Very similar in appearance, and I thought it was the same person, it wasn't.
okay. Does anybody have anything? Anything else? So,
Mr. Chair, as a blanket statement about all of these, and I'll just speak this one time, a lot of the reports said something along the lines of, I do this, I always check IDs, or I just didn't do it this time and I screwed up. And from a prosecutor's standpoint, I find that to be very confusing, because if it's something that I do every single time, then I do it every time. I tell my cops to read informing the accused on OWIs because they have to do it every time. If they don't, I lose some evidence. So they do it every single time. If you're gonna do it every single time, you're not gonna screw up once. You're not gonna forget to do it on some. So I'm not saying that was this case. I don't remember which cases that's on, but I guess as a blanket statement, as the prosecutor who will eventually potentially see these tickets, that has almost no impact to me, and frankly, I find to be incorrect statement to police officers. I couldn't prove it, but that's frustrating.
okay. Anybody else have anything? Well, watch it, cause now that you're on the list, they'll make sure next time they come through a compliance check, they'll be in there.
Never happen again.
If they're under 60, they're getting ID'd. That's it.
Just like pick and
Good
save.
policy.
We're doing the pick and save shit now.
Good policy.
Okay, do I have a
Move to
motion?
place on file.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Just
You
wants to-
live right down a block from me. I'm looking at your name here.
There's a few
I do.
Chapletsky's in West Allis.
No, but I do live, I don't work it,
That is you, right?
right? Well, 57th Street. Not from the bar.
No, no, no.
In this house.
Yeah,
Hey,
from
there's
his
nothing
house.
wrong with
Oh.
living close to a
Okay,
bar.
yeah, I just,
Yeah.
yeah,
Marty lives above
57th and Walker.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they don't have your, they say they don't have your home address on you, so I don't know.
I stand cognito. I don't
Okay.
know where I am.
Gentlemen,
That's okay.
thank you.
Thanks for
And
coming.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Thanks, guys.
No problem.
She's sorry I slapped her.
And we'll never see you again.
Oh, bad joke, bad joke. Bad joke.
Oh, yeah, you'll never see us again.
Can't condone that.
Hugo, where is?
And thanks for letting me get home in time for the World Series.
Go there just for a laugh.
Okay, so. This is strange. There are two people just fighting. Oh no, this is something different. This is different. Okay,
Oh, you got
what happened? Who's bartending?
Oh, come on
Oh,
up.
come on up. My fault, I was supposed to say the bartender also. Because, okay, technically, you're the one that served the person, even though they have the license. He has the license. And so, what, you didn't think the person was that young, obviously, or?
Yeah, I have working for bartending about 20 years, and I never happened this before. So when I serve to this person, she looks like not underage. So it's confused sometimes.
You know, if it's even close, you gotta ask them, because, you know.
Just like the
way
city
it is.
attorney said.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is. I try to do a good job, but sometimes it's impossible. You know, sometimes I ask to the people for ID, and they looks young, and when they show me the ID, they are very old.
Yeah.
Or, you know, or the other way.
Well, I would, you know, if there's any doubt at all, just card. You know, if you say to them, say, hey, listen, I have to. And so,
Mr. Chair,
over me.
I don't know many people who would be offended if you asked them
Yeah,
for their
everybody
ID as
take
well.
a great
Oh,
compliment
yeah, it's a
sometime.
compliment,
Yeah.
yeah, so,
Yeah.
just, it's a good policy to check everyone if you can.
Okay. Motion?
Move to place on file.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay,
Take.
just watch
All
out.
right,
Thanks for
bye.
coming in.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for your
you.
help
Thank
earlier
you.
tonight, too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Tommy, Aman,
Amen.
Eamon, and Daniel
Doyle.
Doyle.
You could say Doyle.
Oh,
can't
right,
you?
yeah. Well, I saw them coming up together. So you're the one that,
Yes, I was bartending. Just
You-
made a mistake. That was actually my first night without Tommy or anybody else there, so just made a mistake. It won't happen again.
and
I've been
obviously,
doing this for 18 years, and this is my first time up here for this.
and
And I'll be
obviously you
back-
told
I'll
them
be back for
that.
this one. Yeah, we've had a little discussion on it, so.
and they went to
Did you
the-
card him?
Yeah,
He
'cause-
looks young.
he looks 16, 17 years old, thinking, this is the guy that served him. Okay,
You
so.
gotta be 18 to get a
We've
bar.
learned from our mistakes, and it won't happen again.
Yeah, okay, just-
Who's paying the ticket? Okay. He learned.
That's right.
Okay,
Move to place on file.
Second.
any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay,
Thanks, guys.
yes. Okay, Jeffrey Clark.
That one.
And Christina
Couldn't
Deal.
get Doyle, you can get Clark.
Well, I didn't finish saying, I saw him getting up, so. Okay, and this is for J.C.'s Pub. We're in the neighborhood. Same thing, you're the one that served?
Yes.
You thought she was old enough, or,
I thought she was old enough. I had no excuse.
well, obviously, I'm sure he's told you already, you're gonna have to really watch
He
it,
slapped me too.
so.
Don't say that.
You better deny it.
We're
So-
on TV.
Yeah, this is recorded, and it'll be on YouTube forever.
Yes. So,
He
Greg's
really
better-
didn't slap me.
you know, it
Greg's
just,
better
you know,
than
you
watching.
just have to be, you know, cause once you get caught, you make, you know, when we do all these compliance checks again, you know, you're gonna be on the list, they're gonna keep checking on you, so, you know, just any doubt at all, just card somebody, and say, hey, I got how much was that ticket? I got this ticket, so
Yeah.
I'm not taking any chance, so,
Yes.
yeah, so. Anybody else have anything?
You heard of the conversations we had about the
Yes.
importance of this.
I'm looking
Place
into
on
one of
file.
those scanners, like the ID
Yeah.
scanner, because then it actually records all their information too.
Then
Then
you
if
have
you
it
have an
there.
incident there, you got their name,
Yep.
address, picture, everything.
Build a mailing list too.
Okay, I got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Okay, Melissa
Shruby.
Shruby. I have to maybe do that. Uh-oh, Glenn.
And my sidekick,
Glenn,
Glenn Shruby.
the person, the guilty person. So you've heard everything we said,
Yes, we did.
and you gotta go for the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah,
Just, you guys just been there a little bit of time.
right.
We passed our first one, no problems, and
Yeah, so what happened is I just got riled up with one of our clients, one of the people that were there, and he was drinking and he wanted to buy the girl a drink, and I'm saying shut, trying to, hey, she doesn't want to be bothered, you know what I mean? And I never got the turn, and it was, by that time it was too late.
we every new face we card because
They're all new customers.
everybody's
I get
new.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Get
so
that.
I
They're all new
mean,
customers, man.
I would love to say that there was some really good reason why it happened, but just, and then we're trying to, build a relationship, so you have a customer that's kind of being a jerk and sort of overbearing, and then you're trying to save that customer from the experience of that person at the same time, trying to,
And it was late, it was late, I was gonna close.
just all bad things.
Even the police
The stars
officers know that,
aligned.
when they were there. I said, yeah, I'm closing really, but they sent them in anyway, so.
Well, he gets to
Okay.
hear about it at home too.
So you were the server.
Yeah.
Yes, I was.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah. He gets to hear about it all the time, like what's paid the ticket.
Okay, is anybody got anything further?
Move to place on file.
Second.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
We don't wanna see you
Everybody-
again.
I promise.
I don't wanna be here.
Any further
I don't wanna
discussion?
be here.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Anybody
you.
opposed? Okay, Patrick Kozanowski?
No, I don't see
I'm
him.
Melissa, that's why I
Oh.
stand it up.
No, you're not glad.
And you're Jessica, I'm looking for Jessica Cyrus?
No, they're not here.
Oh.
No.
I'm the only one here.
That's
Okay,
Mark.
okay, Melissa
Ramsey?
and Mark.
Hold on.
Sorry I couldn't get back to you.
Oh,
Called me today and I, busy and everything,
I was
so.
busy too, so.
Well, you've been here before,
I have.
and, you instruct your bartenders to watch and everything, and apparently,
I did
Yeah.
card.
what?
Because I didn't see the card. I did card her. So we had a big incident that night.
You, wait a minute, you
that-
said you card her, cause
Yeah,
I don't think she has a card
They
on.
don't carry anything.
no, but she walked outside and said she'd be right back. She never came back. And then I looked outside a couple minutes and everybody was gone. There was
Well-
nobody there.
Okay, wait a minute, so she
But-
came in, she asked for a drink, and you carded her, and she left.
You poured
So-
the drink?
No, well, our credit card machine went out, the power went out. I was trying to close people. I had to handwrite one. I was trying to send someone off to go get money. And she walks in. I said, "What do you want?" And then she told me. I took her money. I put it in the register. I poured the beer and I said, "Do you have your ID?" And then she said no. And I said, "How old are you?" And then that's when she left and said, "I'd be right back."
Mr.
And walked
Chairman?
outside.
All in a row.
They're not sent in with any money either, are they?
Yeah.
Oh,
She's
they are.
given cash and.
Okay.
And I was
no
was
ID.
trying to hurry and get it done, and I had all this stuff going on. The CO2 went out, the power went out, the credit card machine was down. I was trying to close these people out and get them out, and I just did that fast, and I shouldn't have. And
I think you
and
should
then
card before you make the drink.
yeah, well, I took the money first, put it in, I made it, and I set it here, and I held it here, and then I asked for that, and then she walked out and said I'd be right back. And
Would
that
that be
was it.
considered a transaction? If she took the money and gave her a beer, or held, even so
She
they
held
held
the
it?
beer though.
She never touched the beer?
It's not quite how the report reads, and I obviously, as the prosecutor, tend to look at the cop's statements. I'm not saying
Right.
they're lying by any
Yeah.
means, but I'm saying the way
It
the
was a busy night.
evidence shakes out
Well,
might be different.
I was all worked up because I didn't know
Yeah.
what to do, how to get these people money and how to close them out. I had to write one down because they didn't want to go. Another one went to ATM and came back. I had open transactions and people trying to leave, and I was just trying to collect their money so they could get out of there.
Okay, but hopefully you've learned your lesson, and no matter how busy you are, make sure that you see their ID before you give them any type of alcohol.
Yeah.
And I did reiterate that to her as well, so she's been very good.
I've been there 2 years, and I mean, I've never had.
Move to place on file.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in, guys.
It's pretty scary about armed robbery, you say. Wow. How do you get off 5 months?
Well, I could, well, we'll talk later.
Okay, next thing we have here,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
they were both sent certified letters to appear. They both signed for the certified letter. Vanny's Kitchen and New Asian Supermarket.
They did sign for the letter, so
Yes.
they did get them.
Did get 'em.
And the new Asian one, where's that one located?
107th in Oklahoma.
Yeah, in the strip mall.
Oh, okay, that's
Doesn't, I've got Sarge's Corner up, so
right.
got the wrong one.
So this was the first step of a summons and complaint?
Well,
That one was started.
Vanny's is starting.
Vanny's, I'm sorry, you asked for someone to complain on Vanny's.
Yeah.
I just, unfortunately, I'm doing it.
Okay.
It'll be
Okay.
happening, but just not
You're
right now.
down 2 attorneys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, So that one's already been ordered. If you want to order or request a summons complaint on anything else, I'm happy to comply with whatever.
And they're new though, aren't they?
It's a renewal.
It's a renewal.
Yeah.
They're fairly new, but it is a renewal.
It's something where
Let's,
it wasn't.
I think we should send them a summons complaint,
No.
just to get their attention. You know, they don't come in on that.
We have
It's
problems.
just-
That's at the gas station one, right?
No,
Vanny's
Vanny's
Kitchen. The other one's up,
Vanny's is the
Highway 100 in Oklahoma and the strip mall.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My
Okay.
cousin.
My cousins and a pizza joint in there.
Sure.
so, okay, we'll hold that. I obviously don't see anybody here, as far as the, now, these are for new license, right? And they don't show up?
Yes.
I don't get that.
It's called ghosting. I'll explain it to you.
Ghost.
Okay.
No. No.
I've heard of this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Trust
we
me.
didn't-
Trying to hire
I've
right
been
now.
bitten.
Okay, so no one from Alibi also showed up?
Right.
You mean not the bartender, not the other person?
That's the second time.
No, that's the
No,
first time.
that was
That was one of
compliance
the
check.
7. So we'll send them another letter. They can show up at the council meeting if you have to.
Okay, I'll send it certified.
And, for both of them again.
Will do.
And, we'll hold this one and we'll hold all these. I don't understand this. Usually we don't have the people that wanna open up a restaurant.
Mr. Chair, I did speak with Escobar's once or twice. They had come back and forth. So I did review that one, and they had some corrections to make, but they seemed to be on the ball. I didn't really have any problem with what was going on there.
Mr. Chair, that's the one on 92nd and Greenfield, correct?
Yeah.
They had a fire in their restaurant, and I think they're
Right.
fixing it up, looking to reopen
Recently?
and serve. Yeah, a few months ago, they had a fire in the
okay.
restaurant, so.
Has it been Escobar's all along or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was something else before that.
It was
Well,
something
it's been
like
a
a
number
couple
of
years
years.
ago, and then, but the last year and a half, it's
Yeah.
been
So
Escobar's.
it's one right on the corner, right?
Right.
With
It
the
was
tiny
Emilio's.
That
little
little one.
Yeah, it's been a lot of things.
40-foot lot, yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna hold all these. Is there anything else? Anything else that's come in front of us?
My move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
All right.
Early.